Costa Rican coffee from one of our show hosts across the way. Yeah. Did you hear 10 Chicago Bulls have COVID?
The whole team?
Brutal. Just brutal.
Wow. Are any of them vaccinated?
It's 11:07 at WPSL 1590, the talk of the Treasure Coast. It is a Tuesday, which means you are never alone with Jack Waldrop. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing okay. I do have to ask you, though, hopefully, God willing, none of your other facilities were in tornado range the other day.
No, we're good.
Wow.
Thank goodness. It's a horrible thing.
I've never heard of anything of a tornado being on the ground that long. 200 miles.
Did they ever determine, not pardon my ignorance, but did they determine if it was just one or was it multiple?
I think we were watching CNBC last night, and one of the meteorologists is saying he thought it was actually 8 tornadoes, but all in the same area, which, is amazing.
Crazy.
Yeah, they're going to have, obviously, they're going to have some studies later this week on it. But, oh, brother, that was awful.
And it was a long span of area, too. It was just crazy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's like, wow. It's, the weather, there's no doubt, whatever you want to call it, it is changing a little. And what's very interesting is what was the old historic Tornado Alley, Oklahoma, Texas,
right,
has now moved east a little bit. And it's like, now maybe the way the earth is tilted or something. I mean, I have no idea. It's all weird. It's all weird.
It is. So how have you been doing, though?
We've been doing great. We wrapped up the Christmas Kids campaign fundraising part today with Treasure Coast Lexus. and we'll give away the toys tomorrow. So yeah, bright and early. Mr. G and Ray and I will be there at 5:30 in the morning, and the morning show, Cliff will be here at 5:30 to
Everybody going in 20 directions.
get us going here. And Carol will obviously join us with the rest of the Christmas Kids volunteers tomorrow morning. The sheriff's office will be there. The trustees, probably at least a dozen trustees will be with us.
Wow.
Again, it will be contactless.
Right.
So, it's no contact with the people. We just put stuff in the trunks and Merry Christmas. Yeah. It's
still an awesome thing that y'all are doing.
Oh, well, Carol has joked for years that we attempt to run radio stations 11 months a year and then forget about them for a month to run the Christmas Kids. But, now we're all year. We got a donation yesterday that is going to boost the swimming and back to school clothing drive. So it's
Nice.
like, okay. Yeah. And we've been doing the swimming now for over 20 years, but this will enable more children to have life-saving lessons. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, it really is. It's grown into a monster, isn't it? Okay.
I could imagine.
It may become a full-time job. So I've got to ask you, how did the wreath thing go?
It didn't go as well as we did last year, but I am somewhat contributing that to the fact that the new variant hit less than a week prior to the event. So we ended up not doing quite as much as we did, but we opened it up for a couple events where people could do silent auctions. So we still have a couple that we're trying to sell and get the most for, but I think we raised close to $500 for the Alzheimer's Association, which is pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's better than nothing. It's a little something to give. So we hope next year it'll be bigger and better again. But like I said, with the new variant coming out right before, days before, we had an event that a lot of people that had RSVP'd ended up not coming, which is okay. Everybody has to feel safe in their own skin. And we appreciate the fact if someone isn't feeling well or they're not comfortable, that they don't come into our building, because we want to make sure that our residents are safe. So we appreciate that, and we understand. And we did have some people call and make some bids by phone. So they didn't even really care which one it was. They just wanted to make sure that they were able to bid and possibly win something for a good cause. So, we've been in the community for a long time. Harbor Place is not a new place. We've been here 21 years. We have a legacy. And that's one of the things in 2022 that we are going to focus on is our owner's legacy. If you know anything about Harbor Place, Mr. Preston is our sole owner. We are not a publicly traded community or anything of that nature. Mr. Preston owns and operates his own buildings. And so we are gonna do a little bit better job about talking about his legacy and why Century Park as a whole is why our logo, we have an oak tree as our logo.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, so a lot of people don't realize it, but Century Park Associates is actually the name of our assisted living management side. So we have Life Care Centers of America, that's the skilled nursing side. And then we have Century Park Associates. And then each building is a separate entity within Century Park. So like Port St. Lucie, Harbor Place at Port St. Lucie, we're our own entity inside of Century Park Associates. So that oak tree represents the legacy of Mr. Preston and how our roots run deep. We've been here for a long time and we don't plan on going anywhere.
Well, I can tell you one thing, Carol and I and Mr. G really missed the Harbor Place All-Stars with the WPSL Christmas Kids. Wow,
I know
it's been 2 years since we've been there.
Well, hopefully by 2022 Christmas, we're just going to say it now. We're going to put it in the atmosphere that by 2022, we'll be able to get back and y'all can be back in the building and we can have a nice big celebration again.
That would be wonderful. Yeah, that really would be wonderful. Yeah. Yeah. The stories that were told by your residents, really stories from all over the world,
Yeah.
were absolutely incredible.
They are. I mean, I have residents from I mean, I have one that spends 6 months out of the year here and 6 months out of the year in France. And so she tells all kinds of stories. She's one of my most active residents in independent living. She walks our campus every single day. And if you've ever been here, it is not a small campus. She walks the perimeter of it every single day. And I want to say even some days 2 times a day. So we have stories like no other, from nurses to teachers to everybody that's got any kind of story they want to tell.
Actually, I'm glad you brought up the nurses. One nurse telling us, I forget where she was working, but she had some amazing stories about Christmas time,
Yeah.
where she was stationed.
Yeah. And that was probably Miss Lilia. She's been all over the world and all over the country. And unfortunately, she's now a resident over at Life Care. But she is fantastic. I miss her on a daily basis. She's little over, I think she's right. She's there 100 or 101 now. So she had some amazing stories though.
Now, was that the lady from Puerto Rico,
Mhm.
perchance? Oh, I loved her. Because she
Yeah,
always had something just truly amazing.
always.
Yeah.
And she's one of my favorite residents too, because she will tell independent living residents, I'm 100 years old and I'm still doing it. So can you, And so she was not afraid, or is not afraid, to tell it like it is, and tell them to say, if you want to be an independent living, you need to be independent. And it's great. Some residents get offended by it, but it's a nice reminder that we're an independent living community on one side of the community. And so therefore there's no nursing and there's no things that are going to correlate with that. So we want to make sure that people stay as independent as they can. And then of course we have our assisted living side, which is exactly what it sounds like. A lot of people have a misconception that it's a nursing home. By far, it is not a nursing home. Skilled nursing is next door at Life Care Centers of America, or Port St. Lucie. But our assisted living is exactly the title. We assist you with your daily living. If that means you need a little bit more assistance, then that's what we're going to do. So it's fun to see people transition from home to independent living to assisted living and then on to life care, because then we know we have truly helped some with their continuing care from being at home by themselves, moving on and upward and aging in place as much as possible. So that's what we enjoy. That's what we want. We're one giant campus. And so having the ability to go from one building to the next as you stage through life is definitely a perk.
Yeah, I remember getting a lecture from her a couple of years back. I was moaning about something about the equipment and in my advanced age of, so what, it was 74 at the time, I guess. And she goes, "What?" And then she said, "You know how old I am?" And so I said, 80. And then she started blushing. It was great. It was very funny. She says,
She is
"No,
a,
no,
she is
no."
a sweetheart.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And what stories? Wow. But and that's what's very interesting about your place. You've got folks from so many different walks of life,
Yes.
and you just, wow, you almost wish somebody could chronicle all these stories, put them in a
Yeah.
book. I mean, it's amazing.
I keep saying I'm going to write a book of what my daily life is like, and it's probably going to hit a bestseller because I can tell you some crazy stories of the things that we go through on a daily basis. But that's with any ED or executive director or anybody that works in long-term care. Some days are just absolutely craziness and they're fun and they're exciting. And then there's other days where you just want to crawl under the desk and cry because everything is going crazy. And so it definitely lends itself to having a crazy daily. You never know what you're going to go to in the morning when you get there. I've had days where I've walked into ambulances and people going out, and 5 minutes later, another one. Those are the crazy days. But then there's days where you get to go sit and play bingo and laugh with the residents, and it's fun. In our independent living, I'll go play bingo. I don't put money in. They know if I win the pot rolls over to the next winner. So they love when I come in and play bingo, because that means if I win the next pot, they know they're going to win a larger amount. So we as directors, that's one of the things that we encourage, is that all of our directors participate in activities. So it's not just our lifestyles director or our lifestyles assistants that are doing daily activities with the residents. We want them to be just as to remember that we're not just sitting in our office, we're people too. We want to come out and help and do things. And sometimes that's hard. We have a lot going on during the day, but we have to make that time to get out and actually be around the residents.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. And so let's take a look at the holidays, which are 2 weeks away.
I know.
What are your plans at Harbor
So
Place?
we are not doing an actual open house this year, strictly because of the new variant. We just want to be very safe. I think we're going to do in sometime after the first of the year, our assisted living should be completely renovated at that point, hopefully by February 1st. So we are going to do an open house guided tour on the assisted living side, and while they finish up on the IL side, and then we'll have another one, and then I think we'll do another grand reopening sometime middle of next year, when everything is completely done. But I will say we're running out of apartments, to be perfectly honest. Our occupancy is growing tremendously since we started renovating. And that's a great thing. It lets Mr. Preston know that it was the time to do it and it was the right thing to do. And so hopefully by the time we actually finish, we'll be almost at 100% occupied, and it'll just be working on the apartments of residents that have been here for a while.
So have you got my apartment with the padded walls there?
No padded walls here. No padded walls, though sometimes I wish my office had padded walls so I could just run and go back and forth and just bounce off of them to make the day go by sometimes, or just to walk away from a spreadsheet or from a disgruntled employee or a disgruntled family member. Sometimes you just need to be able to bounce off the walls.
That's a great idea. Wow.
Yeah. Look, I have these fun ears. I don't know where they are right now, but like if an associate just wants to come in and talk to me and vent, like they don't care about what's going on, they just need to vent. We all need times to vent. I vent to my mother or my father or friends. So I have these big elf ears that I put on. I know I'm motioning like people on the radio can see what I'm doing, but these big elf
they
ears.
will be able to see on YouTube, by the way.
Oh, true. So I put those on, and that way they can know, I'm not listening to you as your boss. I'm listening to you as a friend, and giving you that chance to just vent and talk through. And then I'll say, okay, are you done venting and you want to talk to me as a boss? Okay. Then I take my ears off and we have the conversation, and sometimes just because you need to vent doesn't mean that you need someone in authority to make a change. It's just that you need to vent as a person. So I have an open door policy. My associates know that they can come in and talk to me anytime they want to. The only time that I close my door is if I'm on an operational call with the home office. Other than that, my door is open for residents or staff. Residents come in, they don't care if I'm on a call or not. They just walk on in, which is fine. And then staff typically will come on in or they'll make an appointment, but my door is always open and they know that. They know they can come or they can call me at any point just to talk through what's going on. We love our staff. If it wasn't for them, we couldn't do what we do. If it wasn't for our residents, we wouldn't have a job. So we appreciate everybody that's part of the process, because it takes all of us. It takes a village to take care of residents. And so we want to take care of them as well.
So I've got a suggestion. You may want to get some Velcro wallpaper and just kind of hang up there for just a little bit and be by yourself, and people will walk into your office. They won't even know you're there,
Yeah. Just a big curtain. Like, don't mind the man behind the curtain.
Oh boy. Yeah.
I mean, you can't help but have fun. You know, it's you have to smile, you have to have fun. And I've said this before. You know, all our assisted livings, we all offer the same things. You know, it's all about what makes you as a family and you as a resident comfortable, where you feel at home. And we want to do that. And if that's not the place here, is not the place for you, we'll help you do that somewhere where you can be. But we're going to do everything within our power to help you feel the most comfortable and safe you can be here. And work with you and your doctors and your family, and make sure everybody is happy, and you are able to thrive in our home and in our resort style palm tree everywhere community.
Sure. Oh yeah. Well, and what I really like is that your concept that you were talking about the other day of like courtyard dining
Yeah.
outdoors. I mean, we're in a perfect atmosphere for that.
Yeah. And we did for Thanksgiving, since we didn't open our dining rooms to families, just because there has been some correlation with the fact that you have to take off your mask when you're eating. So we did offer outdoor dining. We have multiple patio areas with multiple patio tables for people to be able to eat at. So we did offer the ability to reserve a table and do family style eating outside with their loved ones. And there were a few that took us up on it. Most of the families, though, took their loved ones to their house, which is pretty typical, and especially at Christmas time. So we'll continue to see a lot of that.
That's neat. That is really, really neat. Well, and I think on the religious side as well, that I remember seeing, oh gosh, I think I saw a rabbi in there once, a
Oh yeah,
minister.
we do. I mean, we celebrate Hanukkah. We celebrate Christmas. We want to make sure that everybody is celebrated. And so Hanukkah was a little bit harder this year because it started a lot earlier than typical.
Yeah, around Thanksgiving. Yeah, you bet.
Yeah, the Sunday after Thanksgiving, it was quick. And so we were in the middle of changing out a new culinary director, Hanukkah all at the same time. So some things didn't quite go as much as we would have liked them to. But we did make sure that we lit the menorah every night and that we celebrated them as well, because we want to make sure that everybody gets to celebrate the way that they want to.
Wrong number. It's somebody trying to sell you
I'm on the radio. They know I'm on the radio every Tuesday.
They're just trying to sell you an auto warranty. That's what it is.
Yep.
Oh my. Yeah, we get those calls all the time.
All the time.
Well, now you talk about the renovations in the assisted living. Now, are they through?
Not quite.
In the independent?
Not quite. So we decided to focus and complete the AL building because that's where we were having a majority of our move-ins.
Gotcha.
So we focused on getting that completed. Our top 2 floors, so the second and third floors, are completed, and we are currently finishing up on the first floor. The biggest part of that will be the main section with the dining room and our activity spaces. And so that'll be the last to be completed, hopefully in the next 2 months, so that we can truly do an open house over there so everybody can see the changes that we've made. It looks totally different, as well as it should when you do a renovation. But anybody that's been here before, we've been here for 20 years. So wallpaper was like the cool thing to do back then. And so assisted living no longer has any wallpaper. We have all painted walls. It's bright, it's color, it's a neutral tone. It just looks fantastic.
No green couches, I hope.
We currently still have the green couches because the couches will not be changed out until all of the renovation. That's like the last part of a renovation, is they change out furniture. So we still have the green couches for now, but Blanche Devereaux's wallpaper is gone. The big palm tree wallpaper is gone.
I love it. Oh my.
I mean, I laugh at it, but it is the style, and it is what older residents remember, and it's the things that they like. So it really wasn't, it may have looked bad to me, or it was not my taste, but residents loved it because it made them feel like they were in their Florida room back at home. So that's all that matters, is that they love where they are.
Well, now that's something I didn't think about, but sure. You think back that they do want to turn the clock back.
Yeah. Well, and some of them, they look in the mirror and that's not the person that they know. They see someone that's 20 years younger than what that's actually in the mirror. You know, I saw a wonderful video. I don't know if we talked about this last week, but it was a lady and she was very pleasantly confused. But she was talking to the person in the mirror, which was herself. She had no idea who the person was. And they were telling her, you know, this is Betty. And she kept saying, well, hello, Betty. Can I show you around? Like, she was pleasantly confused. But that's what I'm saying when I say residents that are dealing with dementia or with Alzheimer's, they see themselves, they remember themselves as in their 20s or 30s, and they look in the mirror and that person's 80 and they have no idea who that person is, you know? And so those are things that we have to keep in mind when we're dealing with residents. And I saw another thing yesterday, matter of fact, on Facebook, and let's see if I can pull it up real quick, but it really hit home because it made me think about what we do on a daily basis. Let me see if I can, here it is. When you become frustrated with older people because of what they cannot do, think of how frustrated they must feel because they can no longer do it.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the truth.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, you bet it is.
So easily we get frustrated because our grandparents or our mother or our father, they used to know how to turn that phone on, you know, and they used to know how to get to their email. And now we're frustrated because they can't really remember how to do it. But think about how frustrated they are when they can't remember how to do it. And, you know, it just hits home.
Sure. Wow. That's amazing. I may have asked you this before. Are you going to get into the memory care units per se someday down the road?
I can't say that we will never get to memory cares. I don't, this actually came up at our corporate meetings last week. I don't know that we'll do it anytime in the near future. At one time, we had a memory care, I believe in life care, they had a memory care section. Memory cares are hard. And just to be honest with you, between staffing, the medical portion of it, having locked units, things of that nature, it's hard. But the way Florida does their assisted livings, most dementia residents can still be safe inside of an assisted living. You know, as long as they're not exit seeking, meaning they're trying to leave and go somewhere on their own.
Yeah, just wander. Yeah.
Wandering, correct. Then typically you can manage their care in a normal assisted living. So as long as they still meet that criteria, which 99% do, as long as they're not exit seeking, then they can still maintain a lifestyle inside of a normal assisted living in Florida. I can't speak for other states because I don't operate in those states or know their regulations, but I can say here we can. So I don't know that we anytime soon will go to memory care units because there's a lot of things that we can put in place to keep residents here without having to go to a memory care.
Well, I've got a question. You had touched on the medical side of that. Is that more elaborate in that setting than it would be in yours?
So you typically, when you have memory cares, there is a set staffing model. It's not based upon necessarily acuity. It's based upon the number of residents and then acuity. So it's harder to staff that because if you're not staffed per those regulations, then you're out of compliance for the state. You know, with a regular assisted living, it's based upon the acuity levels of your actual residents. So if you have high acuity levels, you have more staff members. If you have low acuity independent people, then they don't have as many staff members because they do things on their own. So it's just a little bit easier staffing wise. You have your typical model and then it fluctuates. Whereas with the memory care, it is more set in stone.
Wow, I didn't realize that, but it certainly makes sense, especially The fact that, and I've known people before that
Yeah.
have just wandered away from the
Oh yeah.
house or something like
Oh
that.
yeah.
Oh
And,
yeah. Yeah.
and when it comes to like a med tech, that's who gives medications, they can't make any nursing judgment. So if a medication is given because it's in a parameter or because of an agitation or things of that nature, a nurse has to make that determination. And so you have to employ a nurse. So it's better off by just having a nurse that gives medications because you don't have to have a go-between to figure out if someone needs something. So the staffing model is different than what you do in an assisted living.
Wow. Yeah. Boy, you're informative. I mean, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
And
So,
right now, staffing is difficult anyway. Nurses are very hard to come by. And so a lot of communities that once had 24-hour nurses have had to cut back their nurses and going to more med techs because it's nurses, most of them are doing travel positions because they're making a lot more money doing travel positions, which you should because you're traveling away from your home. That's typical. But we're finding that not as many people are going into nursing because of COVID-19. And so it's becoming more and more difficult in order to staff and even your CNA programs, people are not going into them as much now because it's just a hard road at this point.
well, hopefully that's going to change at least locally.
Yep.
I think the event is tomorrow. I think watch it's probably was today at the Pruitt campus of Indian River State College.
Yep.
A brand new nursing school is debuting here on the Treasure Coast as IRSC will expand for the future, and it's that majority of the campus is going to be for nursing. And just looking at some of the futuristic drawings that they have, they're going to have everything from X-ray suites to hospital rooms, you name it. They're going to have it there on campus. It's going to be an amazing new nursing college.
Good. It's really needed. It's like I said, those programs we've had some that there's in high school, you can get the CNA program and that's fantastic. And we love that, but it's also very hard because people come out of high school straight into being a CNA, and having that class in school is one thing, but that hands-on learning, we're finding that yes, they know the knowledge, but it's overwhelming when they get into somewhere where they're actually doing that CNA work. And so it's been difficult. So the fact that they're opening up a brand new nursing section, and I'm sure they're going to have a CNA all straight into nursing type program is fantastic. It's going to help the community 100%.
Yeah, and I know, of course, obviously, Dr. Moore, the president of IRSC, will be, I'm sure, emceeing the whole thing, and Rob Lord from Cleveland Clinic will be there, and Nancy Hilton, dear friend, at St. Lucie Medical Center, who's in charge of nursing at St. Lucie Medical Center, will also help kick it off. So,
and I love that there's multiple companies being represented. You never want it to just be one. We have to be a community. Ultimately, we are Port St. Lucie, Fort Pierce. We're a community. We're the Treasure Coast. And so that's what we tell potential residents when they come in. We all are assisted livings, but we're a community. We do our best to work with everybody because you may not be able to afford us. So we want to make sure that you get sent to the right place that's going to fit your budget, or the right place that's going to fit your lifestyle. If that's not us, we'll be the first to say, because moving you in and us not be your cup of tea is not going to help us any, because we want you to be here for a lifetime. And so we're going to help you get where that needs to be. We want it to be us, but if we're not your cup of tea, we're going to make sure that you're placed where you need to be.
That's phenomenal. It really is. And, Nancy has told us several times where they go on recruiting trips all over the world to find nurses, and you just think, really? And she said, oh yeah, we were in the Philippines just, a few months ago. It's like, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially right now. I mean, we're truly doing everything we can do to get people to come back into nursing and to come into CNA and med tech work, because people started fleeing. And you can't help but not blame them, because there was so much going on. And of course, with the COVID vaccine and people not wanting to get that. And it's just, it was not a golden path. Let's just say that, for quite a while. And I think things are balancing out. More and more companies are offering those accommodations if you don't want to get the vaccine. Of course, on your end, if you don't want to get it, there are some things that you have to be willing to do in order to get that accommodation, which is reasonable. I know we have an accommodation process. If you don't want to get the vaccine, then you do go through that process, and it's not hard. All you have to do is apply for the accommodation and tell us why, and we do our best to approve those. And there's a committee it goes before at our corporate level, but it's not something at this point that people should be scared of just because a company is requiring it. When you require it, you're also required to offer that accommodation as well. So there's a lot more to it.
So, that's truly amazing. So does that include like regular testing for them, or how does that work?
Yep. So every accommodation is different because it depends on what the accommodation is requested. But the commonality between them is weekly testing. And then they have to wear a fit tested N95 mask if they work for us. And there's more to it depending on the situation, but those are the commonality between them. Now, that's not for residents, obviously. I cannot require that our resident be vaccinated. There are lots of doctors that will not approve for elderly to be vaccinated. So they're highly encouraged. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. They're highly encouraged to wear that N95 mask or wear a mask when they're walking around and not in their apartments. Again, I can't require them to wear those masks, but we do highly encourage it to keep everyone safe.
Sure. And of course, you really, especially in the independent living, you can't control where these people go outside.
No.
Even
in assisted living, I can't control that either.
Sure.
They have the right to come and go as they please, as long as they sign out and they have transportation, things of those nature. But no, they have the right to go wherever they please. And independent living, it's Fair Housing Act. So I have no control over who comes in, why they come in. If they want to move in, they're more than welcome to move in as long as they can afford it. If they have care needs that they want a private sitter with, they're more than welcome to do that. So it's not, we tried to begin with to really, really, really strongly encourage independent residents to stay in their apartments, to social distance, to online shopping, all of those sort of things to keep them safe. But at some point, 19, 20 months into this, almost 24 months, they're tired. They're tired of staying at home. They want to go shopping at the store. They want to go to Macy's. They want to go to Belk's. They want to go to Bell's. And so you have to allow them to move on with their life. They can't live in fear. They have to be able to live their life.
Agreed. Sure. That makes perfect sense. Yeah. I just think that, being a member, especially when Carol and I were in television for 25 years, I just think the sensationalizations of all of this over the last 2 years have just made life really awful.
It has. And, we didn't even realize this. We were on a call yesterday. So we have one of our residents in another community that tested positive for the coronavirus, which is not COVID-19. Coronavirus has been around for a long time. But it just shocked us that someone tested positive for the coronavirus, because you haven't heard it in a long time. But if you remember when COVID-19 came out, or when they decided what it was, everybody kept saying, why is Lysol not killing it? The Lysol can says it kills coronavirus. They're two different viruses. And so we had to stop and think, we're so used to fighting the common cold and fighting the flu that now one of those things is probably going to come back as well as the coronavirus, that everybody's going to be, we'll have to remember the fact that you've got to kill it all. You can't concentrate on just killing COVID-19 in your building. You have to make sure everybody has their flu shots and things. And actually had a friend that was diagnosed with the flu the other day. Flu numbers went in 2020 were hardly even there. It just seems like everybody had COVID-19 and no one had the flu, which, couldn't be true. Someone had to have the flu. And so I was like, yep. So I think that's my way of, and maybe I'm just justifying it myself, but maybe the world is getting back to normal to some extent, or whatever normal is anymore. But the fact that we're starting to hear the common cold, we're starting to hear the flu, those things are starting to come back. I think people are starting to live in less of a fear state. And that's a good thing. That's a real good thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's so true, and just running into a couple people. Yeah, oh, I've just got a cold. Don't worry about it, and it's so, okay, that's sure. That's fine.
Well, and I know personally about 2 weeks ago, I got a severe sinus infection and I thought, oh, great. I've had the vaccine. I've had the booster. Now I have caught a variant. I am sick as a dog. All it was a really horrible sinus infection. But I mean, I tested every day for a week because I was sure, I was positive that's what it was. I was tired, but nope, nothing. So I think we're going to start seeing more of those common colds and those common things again as we continue to move forward. And there's always going to be a new variant. I mean,
Sure.
let's think about it. The flu, we had the was it F1N1 or N1 something?
Yeah, sure. A few
Couple
years
years.
back. Yeah, yeah.
It's always going to mutate, and it's always going to do something. And so that's why I say, remember, COVID-19 was the bat flu. It's just a variant of the bat flu, and those things are going to continue to happen. And so we are just better prepared for those things to happen now. We weren't prepared. No one was. The whole world was not prepared for COVID-19. And so I think as we become, I don't want to say the word used to, because that's not what I'm trying to say, but because we have done so much to prepare everyone for something of this nature, I think things will continue to balance out. And I think over the next year, knock on wood, we will start seeing a lot of things returning to normal.
And, I think, again, turning the clock back to, vaccine development. I think the advances in computers nowadays speed things up dramatically, where it may have taken years, now it just takes weeks.
You're right. And that is a fear for a lot of people, especially with the COVID-19 vaccine, was that it took a very short amount of time compared to what it typically takes to get a vaccine. But if you really go back and research in history, when polio hit, the same thing happened. There was an emergency order at what was considered emergency order at that time for a polio vaccine. And it was rolled out very, very quickly to save the world. And were there side effects? Sure, there were. Have we come a long way in the processing and the things that we do to do vaccines from where we were when the time the polio vaccine came out? Yeah, a whole lot more. And so things happen, and it's not so much that it's not an appropriate time frame. It's more of, we take our time with most vaccines and we double and triple and quadruple and check the things that are going on. And I'm 100% positive that those things took place, even though it was an emergency order, or they would not have rolled it out. But I saw something the other day where I laughed because it said, someone said, I'm not going to take the COVID-19 vaccine because of the way it was tested. And it was tested the exact same way as Tylenol, Pepto-Bismol, common over-the-counter things that people take on a daily basis. And so it's one of those things where we all have our opinion. It's just like we all have our own unique eye color and our unique fingerprint. We all have our own unique opinion about how things work. And that's okay. That is what makes the world go round. And no one should be faulted because of their opinion and their beliefs. And so that's one of the reasons why here at Harbor Place and Century Park, we were one of the last assisted livings to mandate the vaccine because we wanted choice. We wanted our residents and our staff to have the choice of whether to do it on their own or not. Now, the vaccine did come out, and that was mainly because the government rolled out vaccines, and because we're attached to long-term care, we had to roll out that vaccine as well. As anybody that's been paying attention to the news, they're talking about rolling out Medicare and Medicaid payments towards assisted livings. And if that does take place, that mandate to be vaccinated is there. So we had to make the choice, a very conscious and very thought out choice of, do we roll this out now? And the answer was yes, but with accommodations. And so we were given a deadline, and our staff members knew that deadline. They knew the accommodation that they needed to file. And unfortunately, we had some that chose, they didn't want to do the accommodation, and they didn't want to do because they didn't want to stand out that they were not vaccinated. At this point, we're all still wearing masks, so it's not really that much of a difference. But some made that choice, and it hurt us in a couple ways because it was some longtime associates. You have nurses that left hospitals because there was mandates, nurses that have been around there for years, and that is everybody's choice. And I personally look at it as, I could not live with myself if I brought COVID-19 into the building and a resident got it. I couldn't live. Same thing as if I brought it to one of my parents. And that's not to say that I couldn't still do that, because, even vaccinated people can carry it. But I know that I made every conscious choice to make my residents safe. And that's my belief and my conscious need to make sure that I'm doing the best I can to keep my residents safe. And I say my residents because I do treat them like my grandparents. But that's what we do. That is my job, which is to keep my residents safe. And so I made that conscious choice. It's not for everybody. But I'll be the first to tell you, like I said, I've been vaccinated, I've been boosted. If they tell me to do another one in 6 months, I'll do another one. I get my flu shot every year. It's just one of those things.
It's funny. One of my buddies at the Orlando Magic was telling me about, because they had several players at this point, and now most of them are vaccinated, but they said, you can be unvaccinated if you'd like, but you can't practice with a team. You can't stay in a team hotel. And you've got to make your own travel arrangements. You can't fly on the charter plane. Well, and of course, those players are going, what are you talking about? And they said, well, it's your choice. The
fear of them infecting someone else.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you have to realize that if you're not going to go along with the rules or whatever, or the policies, that there's going to be some type of reactionary thing that you're going to have to do. Every reaction has a consequence. And I hate that it's that you have to use the word consequence, but if you choose to do something, these things are going to happen. And that you have to take ownership of, okay, I still have a job. They're willing to keep me, but I have to do things on my side in order to keep that job. And that's nothing new. If you really think about it, the philosophy behind saying this is the policy, for instance, tattoos, it's always been the policy that if you have a tattoo, you have to cover it. It can't be seen. So what's the difference between having a vaccine and you having to do these steps if you choose not to you choosing to put a tattoo on your body, and now you have to do these things to keep it covered. It's the same premise.
But it's artwork.
Look, I have one. You don't see it. You know, I choose to know that mine is covered because that's just the position that I'm in. And you know that when you put something artwork, mine is a piece of artwork, that you have to do those things. It's a conscious effort.
Welcome to True Confessions of Jack Waldrop. No. On worldwide radio yet. Wow.
I know.
Oh.
Hey, in all fairness, it was my 40th birthday present to myself. But it's sentimental.
There you go.
It is. My dad calls me Superman. I was premature and was in the NICU for quite a while. And so my dad has always called me his Superman. So I have the Superman symbol on my back with big, huge wings. It has big angel wings. So it's sentimental. It has reasons. It's a piece of artwork, which everybody, you put things on your body for a reason. So it is what it is.
There you go. Hey, that's so.
And I will tell you, when I got it, my residents begged me for weeks because they knew I was getting it for me to take my shirt off and show them. And I absolutely refused to do it. I would not do it. I just couldn't do it. But I have several residents that were like, oh, I've always wanted to get a tattoo. I want to get a tattoo. And I said, well, you don't want to get one. It hurts.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, it's so funny because our daughter got, in teen in Los Angeles, right? So she got one on her ankle, and it was like, oh God. And it was a dolphin, so
Yeah.
but you just think, okay, that's totally innocuous. Well, she has kids, and so she goes through the process of having it taken off, and it was that was horribly
They
painful.
say it's taking it off is worse than putting it on.
Oh, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, very difficult, very difficult. Well, wow, I can't believe this hour has gone.
Oh, wow, it went by quick.
It gone by almost. I think we've only got about 3.5 minutes. But
well, let me tell you what we got going on soon.
Yes,
so,
yes.
In January, we are having a knee pain kind of seminar. January 20th at 1:30. That's the big one. I'm going to push between now and then.
Sign me up.
Yeah, it's a non-surgical stem cell and injection management for knee pain. We're going to have Dr. Wizabecki, a Florida orthopedic specialist, will be here. He's fantastic. I've used him. I had for tennis elbow. I mean, he's my personal doctor. I love him. He sits down, he talks to you, and he is all about the non-surgical way of fixing things. So if you have knee pain, please come see us January 20th. You can call an RSVP. 772-337-4330. Just let them know you want to come for the knee pain clinic. That's on January 20th at 1:30. It's a Thursday. And that is our big event coming up in January. So like I said, Florida orthopedic specialist, Dr. Wizabecki will be here. We are so excited to see him and have him here. Call and reserve your spot, 772-337-4330. We want to make sure that everybody has a Merry Christmas. I know I will talk to y'all again next week, but please have a Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah to those who have already celebrated Hanukkah. And we love everybody. We love being part of the community. If there's anything that we can help with, please give us a call and talk to Pat, my sales director. We would love to get involved more in the community. Anytime that you need us there, we will be happy to come out.
Now, I know that you've got the security and screening in the front lobby. And you had mentioned that the back room may be available sometime next year.
That is
with
the goal.
that same device.
Yes, we're getting another one to put back there so that civic groups can rent out the space or use the space. Different type of organizations. We're not going to do parties at this point. The only things that we have done, we did a church did a small gathering for a Christmas party, Christmas dinner back there in the meeting room. And so those little things, but we don't do like family birthday parties, things like that. That's not what the space is meant for. It's for civic organizations, businesses that need a space to do their a community dinner, things of that nature.
Yeah, that's absolutely phenomenal. So again, how do folks get in touch with you, Jack?
Sure. Give us a call, 772-337-4330. You can ask for myself, ask for Pat, my sales director, and any one of us can give you a heads up on where to go and who to see.
Okay. And is Pat still doing tours?
She is. Pat is my tour queen. She doesn't stop. At any time of day, she'll come in the evenings or the weekends. If she's busy, then it falls on me or one of my other directors, but we are all part of that process. Speak of the devil, she's walking in my office.
Well, tell her